there somebody you have your eye on here in this particular matchup?
Yes, there is. My guy, Cole Kmet. That's who I like. You can get him at some serious plus money if you shop around, anywhere from plus 130 to maybe plus 210. So make sure you get the best number here. Bears tight end had 2 scores last week against the Saints, including this incredible catch, probably the catch of the season for the Bears. So this is such a stud out of Notre Dame. And I think more than anything, this is about it's about having a young quarterback like a Tyson Bagent, where whenever you're a rookie in this league, whenever you're a young guy, before you learn to check down, before you learn to go through your progressions, you tend to latch onto that one guy that you know is going to be open. You tend to latch onto that one guy who you know you can rely on, that you have an early chemistry with. And I think Cole Kmet is that guy. And this is not just based on him getting 2 touchdowns last week. Just look at the targets and the catches he's had in the past couple of games. So maybe you like a yardage prop as well. But in the past 2 games alone, Kmet has had 18 targets and 16 catches. So clearly, when Tyson Bagent is looking to throw the football, he is looking for Cole Kmet. And again, it's at nice plus money for plus 130, anywhere from there to plus 210. So I like anytime touchdown for the Bears tight end.
Yeah, I like his yardage play. If you look at Cole Kmet, it's the same reasoning behind why you would play the yardage, but it just feels maybe a little safer. Knock on wood. His yardage prop tonight set at 37.5. It's a very low number for somebody who led the team in targets just last week. Had a team high 8 targets and finished with 55 yards on 6 receptions. Each of the last 2 games, he's been a guy that's had one of the top target share of the Chicago Bears, had 10 targets against the Chargers. So I think that's the way to go if you're looking at an individual player prop. But we do need to talk at least a little bit about DJ Moore, because this is the DJ Moore revenge game. Like, that's the only angle that I could find that was like somewhat interesting between the Bears and the Panthers, because for the longest time, DJ Moore was a star of the the Carolina Panthers. Now he plays for the Bears, but he's coming off a game where he was not really getting the targets and he only finished with 44 yards. And normally you're not getting a bargain on anything DJ Moore related. Like, he's one of the top receivers on their team. So usually the number is going to be pretty high. Do you think that goes into the handicap when somebody, you call it a revenge game, even though I don't know what he needs to prove here, because it does feel like he's having a pretty good season despite having a terrible quarterback situation?
I think so. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes a coach will know, like, hey, we know how this went down, right? So let's try to get you the ball. Let's try to get you a few targets here. Let's try to get you in the end zone. Now, you're not going to do that for the sake of breaking up your game plan or losing a matchup that you should win. You're not going to go off script and say, oh, we have to get him the ball. But sometimes I think that is a factor. And then, look, these guys are always motivated, but certainly, you know how guys are. Professional athletes are always looking for a reason to step up. They're always trying to put chips on their shoulders to say, all right, how can I amp myself up for this game as opposed to any other game? And for him, I would imagine he's going to be hyper motivated. So, yeah, I think that's something to look at. The team that is the biggest disappointment to me is the Giants. And it's not like I had massive expectations for them. They went 9-7-1 last year. You think, okay, they signed Daniel Jones. There was all that back and forth. Is Saquon going to come into the fold? Is he going to take the franchise tag or not? He finally does. So now they've got at least their 2 key pieces back on offense, and maybe they can show some semblance of improvement. And instead, they've got Tommy DeVito. Tommy, hey, forget about it, Tommy. I mean, they're awful. They cannot move the football at all. They're worse. They're miles worse than the Commanders, and the Commanders have struggled this season. Like, everything for the Giants has gone wrong, and now Daniel Jones is out again. Tyrod Taylor is out, so they're going Tommy DeVito, and they already couldn't move the football. Just what a bad year for the New York Giants.
Well, I think a lot of people probably predicted some sort of downturn for the Giants, because think of all the close games that they won last year. And then we saw who they really were when it came to the postseason, and they got absolutely smoked. So I think a lot of people thought they were going to be bad, But did people think they were going to be this bad? I don't
Oof.
think so. When you say they are the biggest disappointment in the league or like in the NFC, I
Yeah.
don't think they need any qualifiers. You just say New York Giants, biggest disappointment. Like that's all you
Yeah.
have to say. It doesn't even matter how low the expectations were. My God, have they exceeded them in the worst of ways? So you're absolutely spot on with the New York Giants. I don't know if they're going to get better, but man, did you expect them to be the worst team in the league this year? I'm not going to lie. I thought it was
No.
going to be the Cardinals.
That's what I mean. It's all relative. So when you say biggest
Mm-hmm.
disappointment, it's not like I thought the Giants were a playoff contender, but did I expect them to scrape the bottom of the barrel and to have just no juice on offense? No, not at all. They're completely lost. And here's the thing. The thing about the Giants is that their season is over. Like they're already playing for nothing. And the fact that they are 16.5-point underdogs in an NFL game. I know the Cowboys are monsters at home. The Cowboys are a very good team, but that is a ridiculous line in the NFL. Ridiculous, but it goes to show how bad they are.
Well, the Cowboys have laid some massive numbers already in the NFL this season, and they've covered them. I will say, going back to predictions, the Cardinals, remember that win total before the season? I think it was like 5.5, maybe. And then we saw
Yeah.
a ton of money hit the under. Right now, the Cardinals have one singular win. They're 1-8. It feels like a bet that should come home, but when the number's that low, like you do feel a little nervous. But I do stand by my projection that the Cardinals could be the worst team in the NFL, even though it just feels like the Giants are more disappointing. We're not
What
mad, we're
about
just disappointed.
we're not I'm not even angry. That's the worst thing you can say. I'm not even mad at you. I'm so disappointed in you.
What's the angle for the Crimson Tide or for the Wildcats?
I think we finally got a spot where we can safely say that the better quarterback is Jalen Milroe, especially after last week's performance against LSU. It felt like that performance, the 4 touchdowns on the ground, was Jalen Milroe's way of giving the entire college football world, or at least those of us that doubted him until last week, the double middle finger salute, because he was better even than Jaden Daniels before Jaden Daniels left the game. Is he the better passer necessarily than Jaden Daniels? No, probably not. Is he a better passer than even Devin Leary? He might not be. Now, I'll say this about Leary. He's had some clunkers in the last month or so against Missouri, against Georgia. Wasn't exactly great against Mississippi State either. So I think this is an opportunity where Bama comes in, not just with a better defense, but with the better quarterback as well. And so I think they could have a field day. I think they could force turnovers on Leary. I think they'll shut down any semblance of a running game Kentucky may try to put together. And I don't want to say they don't have a problem covering the 10.5 because we've seen the Tide's offense have hiccups, but I don't think it happens this week.